Chris Burns, and welcome to The Network. Hard talk with a matrix of newsmakers. The headlines.
In this month's European Parliament elections, the largest voting bloc could be Europeans who avoid the ballot box. How much will populists profit by default? Non-voters have become a silent majority, fed up with what they see as a lack of transparency, a European Union out of touch with the people. Never mind, most national legislation is mandated by Brussels. Under the Lisbon Treaty, the European Parliament has power over daily lives. For those who do vote, it's often to punish national governments by electing fringe politicians, while silent Europeans cede the power to others.
Now, wired into this edition of The Network here in the European Parliament in Brussels, Véronique de Keyser, Belgian member of the European Parliament, where she is vice chair of the group of Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats, or S&D. Alda Sousa, Portuguese member of the European Parliament with the confederal group of the European United Left, Nordic Green Left, or GUE-NGL. And Hans Mund, founder of the Rock the Union project, which toured more than 30 European cities to get out the vote. Good panel today. Question to all of you, starting with Véronique. Why? Why is this turnout so low? In 2009, it was 43%. Some fear it could be lower this time.
The problem is people don't trust Europe anymore. It's a question of feeling. And this is the problem. It's not the rate of abstention. It's the feeling of the people. We have to go deep into that.
Okay. Alda, what do you think?
Yes, this turnout has been lower over time, and I think that most people in the member states feel that European decisions are taken too far from them, and there is a lack of transparency, and especially in the last couple of years or 3 or 4 years, especially in the southern countries, the measures of austerity have been so terrible that people don't see the EU as giving good news.
So they're turned off by it. Hans, what do you think? From your tour, how did you gauge that? What were people telling you why they wouldn't vote?
Thank you. What I know what people told me is especially that they are absolutely in favor of the European Union, most of them. Well, however, what they are not in favor of is politicians as such, because they think that there is not enough integration done.
Which parties or which groups in the parliament could maybe profit by default because of this lack of voters?
Well,
could it be your party group?
All of them, to my opinion, and especially the big political parties. But one of the consequences of this distrust of the citizens towards Europe is a rising populism. It's not maybe abstention, it's a rising populism. And this is really the threat for Europe today.
Okay, Alda, you're more further to the left. Perhaps you might get more mad as heck voters. Might you profit from this or not?
Well, the polls have been systematically giving an increase for the GUE-NGL group, and this is not a surprise, or it is understandable, because we have been fighting the austerity policies in every single country and member state. So we have been giving alternatives to people.
So you're getting people who maybe didn't used to vote, but you're attracting them maybe away from S&D. What do you think?
We don't know. It's difficult to ascertain exactly where our votes could come from. But probably, yes, from people who did not vote, from people who did vote in other parties, but people who see us as giving an alternative to the mainstream parties who have been ruling European governments and have been a majority in European Parliament.
And Véronique, you see your Alda siphoning off votes from your party group.
I don't think so. I don't. We fought together austerity measures, and I don't think that it will necessarily make us more strong against abstention. To my opinion, abstention is more deep than that, and it's not because of our results at the European Parliament. They don't know we fought. They don't know that the socialists and your party have fought against austerity.
But I'm saying not exactly what we did in the European Parliament, but what we did in each of and every one of our member states.
Okay, Hans, the arbiter, what do you think?
Okay,
the disinterested observer here, what do you think?
those who are going to gain something from the abstention of citizens are those parties who are right now going against the euro, for example, like in Germany, the Alternative für Deutschland.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, you will have quite a lot of people going for more parties which are either on the real left or on the far right, populist parties, of course. But I think from both sides, there is no one who really gains something, because we all lose if our citizens do not trust in the policies we are actually doing.
Okay, how do you prove to these non-voters that their vote matters, that they got to go to the ballot box, Véronique?
Europe not only matters, but is in a very crucial position. And we made a lot of effort during the past legislature to counteract the austerity measure, but to find mechanisms of solidarity. We have now the building of, a regulation of the banking system, for instance, which matters really for the people,
okay.
But it's just the beginning. If we don't continue in this way, we will never succeed to overcome the crisis.
Okay, you know, there's a couple of new polls out that say that there's a greater disconnect. Voters feel a greater disconnect from Brussels. About 2/3 of them feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alda, how do you close that disconnect?
What we're trying to do and to convince people to vote is to say that decisions will be made, and it will be better that they also decide now what decisions they want to be made in the future, and not in Europe and in their own country, because their abstention will not solve any problem, and their vote count as much as the vote of the Prime Minister or the vote of Angela Merkel.
But I think, I mean, again, you know, how are you going to pitch this to a voter to get to go to the ballot box? You can say, okay, roaming charges. You can say deregulation of the airlines. But there are a lot of these regulations and rules and ways to protect the individual that doesn't seem to be resonating.
Yes,
Hans.
of course they are not resonating, because no one is interested. People expect politicians to
Or they're
do
taking
policies.
it for granted, maybe.
No, not even. People expect politicians to find solutions for everyday problems. However, what people expect just in time of an election is to actually talk to the people on the streets. And this is what no one really did in the last weeks, except for now, 2 weeks before the elections, people are talking to citizens.
Okay, Véronique, that's an accusation. Are you falling down on the job there, on the campaign? Shouldn't you be out there more?
The financial crisis, the banking system, it cannot be solved at a national level.
Yes.
And this is really something people can understand.
It's complex, though. You know, that's what's hard
No, but
to
it's
get to...
very easy. They say, okay, it's because of the bank, we are in such a situation. Yeah. I say, okay, but in this case, Belgium cannot solve that by their own. And this is something which works, really.
Okay.
And for other problems, we can continue in this way. It matters for them.
Okay, we're really running out of time. What's your elevator pitch to the non-voter? You got stuck in an elevator. What are you going to tell him? Alda.
Tell him or her that his or her vote counts, and if everyone who has been unemployed and who's young and had to migrate and to go somewhere else to find a job, if they do give up voting and choosing, someone will choose for them.
Good point. Véronique, what's your elevator pitch?
Well, if we want to give jobs to the young people, if we want to create employment in Europe, it's not at a national level. We have to tackle this problem, but Europe has to change their policy and to be more on the left, on the side of poverty, and not on the side of the very rich.
Hans, I don't want to hear the same thing. What are you going to tell us?
What I'm going to tell the people always, and what I'm telling them the whole time, is the European Parliament is the only possible opposition we have towards the Council, which is all those governments who decide on banking union, who decide on money, on austerity and whatsoever. If we want to change something around these topics, we need a strong Parliament which is able to stand up against the Council. That's all we have to do. Vote for the Parliament.
Hans, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of our guests, Véronique de Keyser, Alda Souza, and Hans Mund. I'm Chris Burns, and until next time, thanks for connecting with The Network.